contingency plans have been made for the interim? And how was that, how are the people that are using those services, how were they consulted? Because they would need to be at the heart of whatever solution it was that enabled the people to move around and get from this campus to wherever they need to go. That's the only way I can respond to that, I think. The 75% of the housing, this is a national issue. And, it's the direct line to government, isn't it? And, somebody on my right's got one, and there's 3 people from political parties on my left. We need to hear what the political parties' policies are on this, I would suggest, because it has to be done at a national level, because the architect is telling us that there's things on a national level that need to change. I'm not a housing expert, but this is what we need to hear, I would suggest. Who wants this?
I was going to give it to Paul because I've seen you've been waiting to speak.
So I'd like to hear from Paul Saville as well, please.
And then we will hand down to Tony.
So on the Metro bus thing, I was one of the protesters that was up at Stapleton allotments, up in the trees, which was an ongoing battle with Bristol City Council. What George won't be telling you is before the election he was against the Metro bus, absolutely, he said that he would be against it. When he got elected, he changed. This is what I'm actually really sick this is what I'm really sick of, is politicians that say one thing, they get elected. I need a right to reply. Yes. Yeah, of course you have a right to reply. Of course. They say one thing, they get elected, and then they do another. Now, the Metro bus, the Metro bus, the Stapleton allotment land up there is blue finger lands, for the most fertile land, not just in this country, but in the whole of Europe, and now it's been tarmacked over. As a keen and environmental activist, away from bus routes and the things like that, actually that's some of the most fertile land. Once it's gone, and now it has gone. And now all we see is tarmac, beautiful land, really, and the wildlife up there, absolutely fantastic. If you do get a chance to go up there, go and have a look and see what monstrosity this council or councils are creating. That's when George talks about the children's future, that's the future. Concrete, tarmac, and greyness and blandness.
Right. We're going to allow the mayor a 1-minute reply, and we're also going to change the our time because we want to hear some other questions. We know there are other questions, and we're fast running out of time. So from now on, it's going to be a 1-minute speaker's time.
Okay. Just quickly on the blue finger, what I've done is really radical, and I've protected forever the 90% of the land that is the blue finger that has not been used for the Metrobus. I was legally unable to change the Metrobus, which I would have preferred to have altered its route. I was legally unable to do because of the previous agreements with the Department for Transport that I inherited. That is real life. I have to live with that. And so the combination of those 2 accusations is, one, I couldn't change it as much as I wanted to. I did change it. And the other, I've done something really radical, and I've changed, and I've put into covenant all the rest of the land so that it will be for growing and wildlife forever.
Now, there are 3 candidates at the end. Are you wishing to respond to this as well?
Oh, definitely. The question about the 85,000 homes, and you said about if 59,000 get negotiated down to 0. Well, even if we're able to deliver the affordable homes they promise, we still won't be able to deliver enough of the affordable homes that are needed into the future, because it will require the additional 25% to be delivered at a rate of some 60% being affordable. That's not going to happen under the legislation at the moment unless we do something very radical. And also, can I just quickly point out, it's not affordable housing isn't always affordable. A lot of affordable housing is at 80% of market rates. That's unaffordable for most people, and usually 90% of students as well.
The 2 at the end, are you wishing to talk about?
You're very right there, Tony. One of my biggest issues is the amount of social housing, which affordable housing, as Tony quite rightly said, for an awful lot of people is not actually affordable. We need to increase the number of social housing places that there are across the city. There's an awful lot of council-owned land that is not really doing a great deal. There's an awful lot of, as Paul mentioned earlier, an awful lot of empty buildings across the city, not doing a great deal. We really need to get animated with this, and we really need to change that, and we really need to get on board with social housing.
Marvin?
Yeah. Two quick observations. One is I met with some developers of a major site in Bristol just yesterday. They're proposing 0% affordable. My point to them was, why would we support a program that is actually going to cost us money? Delivering unaffordable housing for a new Bristol elite exiles from London is not a neutral act. It compounds inequality, and we end up spending money on public services that kick into play when we have a more unequal, more fractured society. Secondly, it's just an observation. When stuff doesn't happen in Bristol's past, it's down to party political wrangling. When it doesn't happen in the last few years, it's down to national government legislation. I think we need to get a little bit consistent here on fair on the landscape.
Interesting.
Thank you. I would like to move on to another question now. I understand this was a very heated topic. Are there any other questions? We have this man. I saw him put his hand up quite early on, so we'll go to you. And then for the next question, we'll come to you.
It seems to be a lot of smoke and mirrors about affordable housing. Affordable to who? If the house price is £200,000, an affordable house only has to be 80% of market value, so that's 160,000. We should stop talking about affordable homes. Right? There's a lot of council land in Bristol. Why don't the council start building homes? Let's go back to the council houses. People who are leaving university, not all of them are going to be in the jobs they want to be in. So they're going to be in a low-paid job. At least they're going to have a home to go to. We've saturated the market now. We've allowed private landlords to come in and name their price. It's time that the council and the mayor, who to be, decides that they're going to start building council houses. And which one of you are going to stand up to the plate and do that?
Thank you very much. I'm guessing everyone wants to speak on this. So if we go back to the system of just passing it down, we can then hear from all of you.
Okay, I have started building council houses. I totally agree with you. Affordable, in inverted commas, is not affordable in this city. Affordable is affordable in Liverpool because the average house price is half the price. It's simply not affordable in the south, and that is a problem with that government definition of affordable housing. Totally agree. But I build new council houses, and then they're taken off us through right to buy within 5 years, and that means that we're not building that social housing, the social housing forever, and that is sad to me.
Okay, so as mayor, if I was made mayor, I'd start working with the community groups, which are actually already out there, to get those buildings, which I mentioned earlier, open. For example, this is just an example to give. Behind the Holiday Inn, at the bottom of the Stokescroft, where the bear pit is, there's a row of houses there. Now, I think there's eight houses. They're all owned by the council, yet they've been empty for over 10 years. They're perfectly habitable. It could be moved into tomorrow. You could have community groups working with local people to live in those local homes. It's really, I don't want to simplify it, but it actually is as simple as that. But we need to have practical measures taken and have radical ideas breathed into our politics, and a mayor who's prepared to stand up for Bristolians and not just, spout out about affordable homes. Because again, affordable to who? If you're under 35 in this country right now, you're probably going to be a renter for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
We need to look at alternatives now. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I want to bring in the building new houses with the housing associations. These people have a lot of experience. They have worked with vulnerable people that need housing and need support for many, many years. The idea of the current Tory government giving right to buy to those tenants that already live in council housing association property. Again, this is another piece of housing stock that will go into the private sector. This is a national issue, and I'm going to say it again. I want to hear what the national policies are from the political parties that are represented here, because if we are actually going to solve this issue and many other issues that we've been discussing tonight, we need action at a national level. So I'm asking the three next to me to tell us what their actual party policies are and how they're going to go and talk to the national government to try to lobby and to try to change it. Because at the moment, they're going to be selling off the council houses in 5 years, apparently. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, the Green Party national policies on housing is, one, we would abolish the right to buy. It serves no further purpose, and we have a situation at the moment where 30% of homes that have been sold under right to buy are now in the hands of private landlords. Second thing we would do is abolish that cap on the housing revenue account that stops the council from being able to borrow to invest in new council housing. Third policy is to oppose the housing bill that's being put through Parliament, which is making it even harder for councils to build social housing, to build council housing. I grew up in a council house. I'm proud of having grown up in a council house. Christine grew up in a council house. We know what it's like. Marvin did as well. We need to make sure that we have houses that people can not only afford to rent, but also to afford to keep warm as well. So we also need homes that are decent homes and energy efficient.
Wow. Housing. In Bristol, what we need to do with council land is stop selling it. We need to retain it, we need to put it in trust for the city and the people of the city and their future. We also need to be able to build low-cost, speedy houses that are council houses and stay council houses, so that people can actually afford to live as opposed to these so-called affordable houses. We can do that quite easily using building materials that you can create from recycled material very quickly into building blocks, and you can have houses built in a relatively short and very cheap, cost-effective manner. Retaining the land for the city and the people of the city means that it can't be sold off in the future.
Here.
We're opposing the housing bill, which is going to see the loss of around 300,000 homes in the next few, social homes in the next few years, which is actually going to be a catastrophe for this country. We're not going to be able to build the balanced communities we need. One of my big concerns in Bristol, which again, when I first raised it, you're told not to talk about this stuff because it's putting the city down, but it's a challenge of gentrification. Areas becoming so unaffordable that people of ordinary financial means are being swept out, you may call it sterilised, from those communities.
Absolutely.
And we're only going to be able to counter that if we get back to where we were, building social houses where we can anchor people into those communities and make sure they don't get swept away by market forces. But I just make the appeal again before we go. The big backdrop to this election is what is real political change. We live in a country where if you go, the research tells us we are one of the most socially immobile countries in the Western Hemisphere. Our country is dominated by the 7% of the population who go to fee-paying schools. There's a narrative around what is political change. I just ask us to consider political change is not simply about political parties. It's about the socio-economic background of people who come to take power in this country. And it has to be a question that's first and foremost. And I hope that at university, you would not be content with taking a superficial argument that says all the political parties are also all nonsense. Political parties make it possible for people of ordinary financial means to run for political office. Independence, running without a party, is a financial privilege. It means you can get your hands on the tens of thousands of pounds it costs to run a viable political campaign. You get rid of political parties, ask what politics looks like. It just looks like a plaything of the wealthiest people in this country.
Well said, well.